2 years ago, or for every single laptop that came with a Snapdragon X2 Elite mobile chip inside of it had to come with a little bit of a disclaimer, a but. The battery life is great, but the apps don't run well. It's quiet, it doesn't make a lot of noise, but it's not for everyone. Now, ASUS dropped this A16 on my desk the other day, and I have to be honest here, I don't think I need to give you guys a disclaimer anymore. Now that's all because of the new ARM architecture, or how they've improved it over the last 2 years. Let's first talk about that before we get into the A16. It's only recently now that ARM has become part of the Windows conversation. ARM isn't that new though, you're probably using it right now, in your phone. It's a CPU architecture built around efficiency for mobile devices, which then came to laptops. And that's why the M1 MacBook chip was so impressive when it launched in 2020. Its performance was on par with AMD and Intel, but it used a fraction of the power. So if laptops with ARM architecture inside of them have been so good for so long, why have Windows laptops been so far behind? The answer is software. macOS and Android were built around ARM. Windows wasn't. For decades, Windows software was designed for x86, the architecture for processors from Intel and AMD. So getting all of those apps that used to work on x86 to now work on the brand new ARM architecture basically means emulating everything on the new architecture. So running a virtual environment for it. That's why it didn't really work that well. The softwares weren't optimized for that actual architecture. They were just duplicated and somehow ran over it all. That's also the reason why I've been so hesitant about fully recommending laptops like this one. Not because the hardware isn't there, but because Windows has been holding it back. The Zenbook A16 is basically a laptop designed around the idea of maximum portability without sacrificing on performance or battery life. And I've got to say, ASUS has kept that goal pretty well for most of the parts. Now, the impressive part here isn't that this is a 16-inch laptop that weighs under 1.2 kilograms while still feeling premium. The impressive part is it doesn't crack, it doesn't creak. It feels like plastic, but it isn't. That's how light it is. It's all thanks to ASUS's Ceraluminum, a fancy ceramic aluminium hybrid material that ASUS is using on their laptops. I think you definitely have to feel it for yourself to know what I'm talking about. It's both smooth and cold and soft and also not cold at the same time. It's difficult to describe. It's lovely, to be honest. Now, ASUS is probably not going to like me saying this, but hear me out. This is basically a MacBook Air M5, but running on Windows. And doing a few things better, to be honest. And I'm not even exaggerating that. The newest Snapdragon X2 Elite Extreme comes surprisingly close to the M5, especially in terms of performance. It's just as quiet, plus you're also getting more RAM, upgradable storage, and more importantly, a 16-inch OLED panel. That's probably my favorite part, to be honest. It looks sharp, the colors are fantastic, and 120 Hz refresh rate. That makes everything feel so nice and snappy, smooth, especially coming from a 60 Hz IPS panel. And may I remind you, all that for the same price. And this is all because of the ARM architecture. It doesn't need to spin up fans every 5 minutes just to stay cool. The battery life is much better than we used to have. That's actually something we need to speak about. Let's chat about the battery life on this. It's on par, very close to what you'd get in a MacBook Air. The 70 watt-hour battery inside of this should last you around 10 to 13 hours. That's at least what I got in normal daily use. When I used it for more complex tasks, it lasts me around 6 to 8 hours. That's actually not bad, especially for demanding work tasks. And considering how fast this thing tops up with its 130 watt charger, that's a pretty good deal. Now, sadly, it's not on par with everything. While the trackpad is huge and also pretty smooth, it sadly is still a regular mechanical trackpad. You'll know if you've used a MacBook before or a haptic trackpad, nothing ever comes close to a haptic trackpad. So this is where I'll say it's good. Maybe it's even great, but if you compare it to MacBook prices, I'd expect that. That's something you use every single day, and I like a haptic trackpad. I will not actually daily drive anything that doesn't have a haptic trackpad. That's just me. It's because I do a lot of design work on my laptop, and if I'm on the go, I need to be able to do it properly. It's the same with the keyboard as well. It's good, but because ASUS has priced this directly against that MacBook, the Air is great. So suddenly this feels good. A little bit less impressive. On the other hand, I have an HDMI port, a card reader, a full-size USB alongside two USB-C 4.0s, which I think makes up for it. Probably more than. Apple, can you please give us ports? Please, man. So the question here is, what changed? Why all of a sudden recommend an ARM laptop? It's because of Microsoft. And we have to ask the question, why is Microsoft suddenly putting so much effort into making laptops like this work now with ARM? It's all thanks to AI. I know it sounds crazy. It's Nvidia and all of their money. They brought out a brand new RTX Spark chip, which is taking over the world. It's called a super chip, and apparently MacBooks are going to lose all of their value because of the new RTX Spark chip. It runs on ARM architecture. They announced this new tech at Computex 2026, and it's a partnership between Microsoft, Nvidia, and ARM. So Microsoft had a wake-up call. They now had to invest into ARM infrastructure to make it work. And so did all of the companies that have apps for Microsoft. Like, for example, Adobe. They adapted it for ARM, and now the whole Adobe suite works fantastically on ARM devices. This totally unrelated partnership to what the ARM infrastructure problem was, solved it. It solved the issue that was plaguing Snapdragon for so long. And it did so practically overnight. Now, after using the A16 for the last 2 weeks, I can finally say that my recommendation for somebody who's looking for a no BS office laptop that they can carry around with them all day without a charger, without worrying about overheating or fan noise, without feeling like they're carrying around a brick, it's finally not a problem anymore. I can actually recommend it. I can honestly say that there wasn't a single app that stopped me from doing my job. No app made me want to switch over to a different computer. Everything from Chrome to Premiere Pro just worked. To the point where I basically forgot that this was an ARM laptop. Which means right now, the Zenbook A16 is a really easy recommend to do. Especially for you guys looking for a laptop to take to work with you. Something that will compete with a MacBook Air but doesn't run on Mac OS. As long as you don't need to run very specific old apps on it. You know, the kind of stuff that isn't being maintained or updated. Those will probably still need to be emulated or run on a different device. So I would check the compatibility if you are somebody that knows you're running some old software or old architecture apps. But I think for most people, Snapdragon, ARM, the Zenbook A16 is finally something that we can recommend. This was Stefan from We Do Tech. Spending the money, sometimes wasting it. Not really this time, so you don't have to. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, bye. The keyboard really isn't that bad. Maybe I gave it too much slack.